Hi everyone, and welcome to the Capricorn July 2021 Love Connection reading. This is I Am Illuminated Tarot and Meaning-Based Spiritual Coaching Services. I am Lauren. Hi and welcome. So first I want to apologize for the late timing of this reading. You'll still get an August Love Connection reading, but obviously the energy we're working with right now is going to extend into August. So this is one of 3 connection readings I complete each month for each sign. This one focuses on connecting your unique internal authentic selves through the energy of love with others and their unique internal authentic self. The other 2 readings, if you're interested, are a spiritual connection reading and a self-connection reading, and all are meant to be kind of utilized together to bring awareness to your unique internal authentic self and how best to engage that in an authentic way with your external environment and others to be able to unlock being able to see your place and purpose and experience emotional fulfillment. All right, Capricorns, let's get right into your reading. So in my readings, I utilize the Triad of Engagement, which is a coaching tool I've developed that focuses on the 3 basic principles of curiosity, courage, and contemplation. So you're going to hear me utilize those throughout this reading. But this reading is a little bit more freeform. So kind of whatever comes in around the energy of love, I will discuss. Sometimes it's more lengthy in one side than another, meaning we focus on different aspects of the energy of love versus romantic love, but we'll see what comes in. So Capricorn, when I was tapping into your energy, right off the bat, I saw your sign. So your zodiac sign, Capricorn, is the goat. And I saw this horned goat. I saw basically like a mountain goat doing what mountain goats do best, which is hop up very rocky, steep terrain that most other animals and creatures cannot traverse. But I saw you going up and up and up and then shaking with fear, just shaking with this knowledge of, I have to keep going up, but I don't know if sorry, I'm seeing one of my hairs is going crazy out of place and it's bothering me. I just got to deal with it. But you kept going up and up and up, and you were afraid. You were shaking. It was almost like you know you're easily adaptable and can handle this terrain, but there's something about you almost going so far up that you're not sure if you can come back down. And that's just an intuitive message that came through. So I'm not sure if that's going to come through in the cards that come out or if that's the message to a specific person, but that's what I saw. So there is this element of kind of going beyond where you feel comfortable and being afraid, kind of pushing yourself to go too far. Now, when we're talking about the energy of love is a beautiful, supportive energy. It's an energy that there is give and take, that it's about giving support and love as much as it is about giving or receiving support and love. So I kind of get the feeling that maybe you are giving too much or running. It's almost like I feel, thinking about it now, that you were running from something, like trying to go so far up and so far away, and yet it's terrifying and you're not quite sure if you've gone too far to come back. All right, so Capricorn, I'm going to pull a card here to really tap us into the energy of curiosity, to develop a question to ask ourselves to kind of open up this reading here. So the card that came out is Intuitive Nudges. And I love this image, the eye, kind of the third eye coming through there. So it says, intuition is the language of the soul. We are all born aware with a profound sense of inner knowing. Intuition is one of the greatest gifts we possess, which keeps us connected to our higher selves, the universe, and to our divine spirit. Now, I really feel this message in this card. I believe that. I believe that we have a direct connection to everything through our intuition. So intuitively, what I'm seeing here, or what I'm feeling, to kind of help develop a question around the energy of love, and in just also integrating that original intuitive message I received with you kind of almost like wanting to run from something and being afraid and almost wondering if you can't come back. There's this quality of asking yourself in the energy of love. And when we're talking about love, we're also talking about us connecting directly to others in our life. Where are you ignoring your your intuitive nudges? Where have you gotten so far away from tapping into you? But tapping into you through your connection to the greater collective, meaning where have you kind of lost touch with love for self and love for others in doing so? Where have you kind of run from yourself? Where do you feel right now when you think of the energy of love and the energy of support and the give and take? Where do you feel perhaps like you have been running from that, been isolating yourself? And why? So that's an important part of curiosity. When we're using curiosity to open ourselves up, to tap us back into what it feels like to be receptive and open to both our internal and external environment. And now we're using curiosity to see what our dynamic is right now between how open we are to others, how open we are to support and love, how open we are to giving support and love. When I'm looking at this makes me feel like there's a level of disconnection, a level of being disconnected from self, which makes it very difficult to be connected in an authentic way to others, especially those closest to you, because you're running away, you're hiding up there. And the one thing that really came through in my intuitive nudge regarding your energy was that you were traversing a terrain that other people can't follow. And so there's this quality in that there's a self-protective element, but there's also this element of, I feel like you've gone to the point where you're almost like wondering, well, why are you all alone? Why doesn't this feel good? Why am I scared and shaking in an element that I should feel good about? And it's because others can't follow you there. Because you've gone so far into a place that only you can go. And it may have started as a self-protection mechanism. It may have started in this, I'm doing this for the people that I love in my life. And now it's turned into a block between you and those that you love in your life. Now you've gone so far down into a place that works for you and has worked for you, but it's preventing that connection, that authentic connection with others. You have other people in your life who love you, who are looking at you going, I would help you down if I could, but I can't. I can't reach you. I can't go up there. You have to make the choice to come back down. You have to make the choice to come back down to connect. And I think there's this little bit of this disconnect of feeling left out in the cold, of feeling like, well, how come others aren't coming to help me? How come the people closest to me aren't supporting me? And it's because they can't reach you. They can't go there. You know, I made mention in one of my foundation videos that's actually linked in the description box below. I actually kind of go into this big description about how the theme for the movie Frozen really ties in and shows how working with the Triad of Engagement is very important. And I kind of get this feeling, this Frozen feeling, in the example that I was using. So for those of you who haven't seen Frozen, I'm sure most of you have, or at least understand what the concept of the movie is about. But it's about the main character who has the ability to freeze things and control the cold and ice and that kind of stuff. And it's her superpower. It's her ability. It's her, something that just like a mountain goat can traverse this really rocky, crazy landscape that most people and other animals can't traverse either. And it's almost, but sometimes, so in the movie, what happened with the main character is that she was not able to, basically she kept hiding and repressing parts of herself, repressing her superpower ability out of fear that she couldn't control it. Out of fear that if she kind of went too far and got lost in it, it would end up hurting somebody, because that was her first experience in utilizing her gifts. And eventually, of course, just like it happens in real life, not just in this cartoon movie, what happens when we repress a part of ourselves or we're not used to working with it is that when we have more and more and more pressure that builds up that makes us want to release it. And when we finally do release it, a lot of times we utilize it in a way that isn't healthy at first. We utilize it in a way, just like Elsa did in the movie, that ends up isolating us from others, to where we end up saying, well, we've had to hide this part of ourselves so much. I just want to go to a place where I don't feel like I have to hide it anymore. I'm just gonna let it go, which is the theme song, let it go, that kind of thing. But what ends up happening is when we let it go to that point, we don't understand how to integrate it in a healthy way that allows others to also benefit from it, which is a shame, because we're all meant to be of benefit to others in being ourselves, sharing our gifts. That's the whole point of connection and the energy of love. It's not enough to just have a talent. We have to be able to share and connect it with others. That's how we build meaning, true meaning, into our life experience and our existence. I mean, imagine very famous artists. What if, we think of Pablo Picasso, or think of Beethoven, or just pick an actor, and what if that specific artist had decided not to share with others? What if they just painted in, their home and then burned it, or crumpled it up, or filmed some amazing movie and then trashed it? Well, they're not connecting. We as a collective would lose out on the benefit of what we get from sharing in their talent. And that's really what I'm feeling here with you, Capricorn, is that there's this element of, just like in the movie Frozen, when she finally gets pushed to be like, blah, I just have to be myself and utilize my gifts, she builds an ice palace. But just like a billy goat who can go, or a mountain goat that can go all the way up to the top of a high mountain, when you live in an ice palace, only people who are adapted to the cold can or want to live in that ice palace. And so she was separating herself from others, cutting herself off from love, cutting herself off from those who might want to share in the beauty of her ability. And I feel like that's what's happening with you, is that you have this ability, this amazing ability to go very high, very far, and to traverse landscapes and navigate very difficult terrain that the average person can't. And that's the beauty of actually being a Capricorn. You really have this ability in the tangible world to make manifest your goals, but not at the expense that you leave others behind. And not at the expense of now where you've gone so far up and away that others can't reach you, others can't go there. Okay, Capricorn. I'm going to pull some cards now, some tarot cards, to get some additional reading on either the person that you're directly connecting with, or just the energy of what might be blocking your energy around love right now. Woo! So we have the Devil that came out. Now the Devil technically is not always a negative card, so to speak. The Devil actually is, Capricorn, your energy in the major arcana. So this is a card that is ruled by Saturn, which is also your major ruling planet, Capricorn, and it's also ruled by Capricorn. So there's a quality that you're stepping into your own energy. But Saturn is the taskmaster. Saturn is the planet that really forces us to look at our work ethics, look at how we meet goals. Look at the structures that we've put in place. Look at how we do things how we work consistently. And sometimes where this can be not beneficial is when we have tied ourselves so much to the process and we are disengaged from the meaning, from the end result, from why we're doing something. And this can look like working excessively long hours to support your family to where now you are not even a part of your family. Your family never sees you. And the whole point of you originally holding yourself accountable to working these long hours was to support your family so that you could be there with your family. But now you're realizing you've gone so far down that rabbit hole of working so many hours that your kids are growing up without any type of real tangible interaction with you. And for anybody who's been around children, you know that children aren't really focused on money. They're focused on connection. And I think maybe now this is an example, again, of just where we can start out with a good goal in mind, the best of intentions, and hold ourselves accountable for meeting that goal. I want to support my family. I'm going to work these long hours. I'm going to do what I need to do to make X amount of money so that this is a lifestyle that my children can have. But instead now it's kind of starting to do the reverse. And that's where the devil portion comes in, where we end up chaining ourselves to something that is holding us back from realizing meaning and emotional fulfillment and happiness. It's not that the devil is coming in, and it's not the external environment holding us back from that. It's actually what we chain ourselves to. It's where we hold ourselves back. It's where we tell ourselves we have to do this. We have to keep doing this. This can also look like where we have told ourselves that we have to follow a creative project, or we have to, again, choose, fill in the blank. This can be where we've told ourselves, okay, if I paint 12 paintings every day, then eventually, I'll be known and all my work will be worth it, and I'll get the recognition and all of this. And in reality, what you've done is you've just basically cut yourself off from being able to talk and integrate and really connect through love with others. Instead of you taking the time to share your work, you're just creating and creating and creating and creating. And you're not getting out there going, well, this is what I do. Like, let me let me go to a couple art showings and hobnob with some other people who also do art similar to mine. And let me start bringing this down into when I'm just out with friends or family or regular people. I talk about what I do. I talk about my painting. I talk about the stuff that I share it with them. Not just work to now where you have 125 paintings that you're not sharing with anybody. You're not networking. You're almost like keeping it like locked away in this ivory tower. And now you're at this point where you've sacrificed so much and you've like hidden it away so much that people maybe are like, hey, I remember you mentioning you were painting, and you're like, no, it's not ready yet. It's not ready yet. But yet you've sacrificed so much, and maybe you're now in debt up to your eyeballs because you've followed this passion project and you don't know how to bring it out to relate it to others, and you don't know how to connect it to others. So there's this quality here of what have you chained yourself to? What aspect where you have kind of gone away from your intuition? You've gone away from working with yourself, with your abilities, and you've taken some gift, some aspect of self, and now blocked yourself off from letting others appreciate it and work with it and work with you. Where have you allowed the best aspects of yourself to cut yourself off from feeling love and support from others and being able to connect this part of yourself in a healthy and beneficial way? Okay, I'm gonna get some clarifier cards here for the Devil to see like what else is, if there's any other messages that come up here. I really just feel like, I don't feel like this message is really giving me like a specific here as far as like a person you're dealing with. I really feel like this is pertaining in general to you just cutting yourself off from the love and support of others. Okay, we have the Nine of Pentacles that came out. Let me see if anything else wants to come out. Nine of Pentacles is a card that can denote independence, financial independence. It's independence in the physical, tangible world. It also can denote, though, kind of two things. It can denote actually, oh, and we have the King of Cups. Beautiful, actually. I like that King of Cups. Scorpio energy, so for anybody who's dealing with a Scorpio. So we have the Nine of Pentacles and the King of Cups. Nine of Pentacles, getting back to this. This card is a card of really having that level of tangible physical security and abundance to where you really can appreciate it. It's that element of being able to enjoy the fruits of your labor. And there's a quality here to where I feel kind of like you're chained yourself to this image. Because the danger of the Nine of Pentacles is that we get stuck there. This ends up becoming like, at first it's the beautiful palace and the beautiful garden outside the palace, and we get to enjoy all of this. But then there's this realization of, but what's beyond the garden and the palace? This seems so beautiful and so secure and so amazing at first, but now I'm stuck by it. Now I'm afraid to leave because I don't know if everything's going to be as beautiful as it is here. And actually, this reminds me of a Netflix show. Me and my husband are just watching something about. Basically, it's a show that talks about, the theme is kind of like a young billionaire who, kind of like a tech mogul, who creates this world for himself, this virtual world that seems perfect, and he ends up kind of trapping a woman in with him, and she tries to escape, and but he can't understand why she's not in love with this fully controlled environment. That even though he can technically, like, if you want to be in Hawaii, well, I'll just make a virtual room that's Hawaii. And she's like, well, I want to actually go to Hawaii. I don't want to be stuck in this fake place that I can't actually connect with anybody in, because it's just us. And no, I don't want to connect with fake people. I want to connect with real people. And there's this quality that this can turn into that. It turns into this illusion of what originally had been safety and security and felt great, and you could enjoy the fruits of your labor, is now something that's become almost like a prison. Like you're tied to this now. And it's a place where we can get stuck and not grow. A place where we get too afraid to step beyond those, palace walls, because what if I can't get back in? And it's almost like that mountain goat. Like, what if I can't get back down? I'm going to keep going. And I'm just not going to look down. And this is where we can also kind of wall ourselves off from others as well. Like, I'm just tending to my garden and I'm just doing my stuff. And there's people knocking on the outside of the garden gate saying like, hey, like, let us in. We'd love to enjoy this with you. And you're like, nope, just trimming my beautiful roses, and I'm just, eating my amazing food, and I'm just doing all of this, and you're not sharing it with anybody. So then we have the King of Cups. And the King of Cups actually really ties in with this card here, with this intuition. Because the King of Cups he really denotes or embodies the spiritual counselor. He is somebody who is so in tune with his emotions and therein in tune with his intuition that those can come to him with questions, and he can tap into that kind of place of internal knowledge of knowing that all answers lie within. And so he can go in from a very stable and steady and strong emotional place. He's not going to be ruled by his emotions. He rules with his emotions. He understands their importance. He understands tapping into them. He understands what they tell him and how they educate him about a situation. And so that's really where I feel right now with these two. There's this quality of tapping back into that, tapping into this energy of remembering what it feels like to feel. Capricorn, you're a cardinal earth sign, which doesn't always, you're not going to, it doesn't speak to tapping into feelings. Now, you can, your actual opposite on the spectrum, when we look at the kind of the zodiac wheel, you are tied directly to, so your opposite, your counterpart is Cancer. And Cancer is a very strong water sign. It's also the cardinal water sign. So there's this element of they are really in their emotions, kind of embody the feminine mother archetype. In Capricorn, you are very much in the physical, more masculine energy, and you are the father archetype. Now, sometimes though, you get out of balance with that, and there's an element here of needing to remind yourself of the importance of tapping into your emotions. It can't just all be about doing. It can't just all be about creating this physical stability. You also have to realize that meaning and connection start in the emotional realm, and that ultimately this will become a jail if there's no emotional attachment to it. Now, this can also look like, if this is specific to a person, so if there is a King of Cups in your life, and now this can mean a Scorpio person or a strong person who is tapped into that water energy, that emotional depth, that this can be almost you wanting to run from that. That there's this quality of almost like you looking at them. I can kind of see this here, of almost like, this is mine, I'm going to cling to it. And this person's like, actually, I'm not feeling this so much. And I'm just going to, do my own thing. And you're like, no, I gotta cling to this. And they're like, no, I'm trying to show you how to feel into life again. But overall, I'm getting more of this broad, it's not really specific, it's more about you've cut yourself off from your own connections in love. You've cut yourself off in trying to utilize your best traits, but to a point now where you have gone too far, to where others can't follow you. And it's time to come back down. It's time to come back to utilizing your gifts, but in a way now that connects you through the energy of love with those who want to love you, with those who you want to share love with. Okay. It takes courage to do that. Start with curiosity to move into courage. And courage is our seat of self-power. This is where we get the courage to take the action. It might be scary to come down. It might be scary to admit, hey, I don't want to work 70 hours a week anymore because I want to connect with my family that I don't feel I have that connection to. But it's about taking the action to admit that and to come back down and to start to take action on your own behalf, to reopen that channel of love, to also reopen the channel of love to yourself, to recognize your talents, but recognize how far you've gone away from utilizing the talents in a way that feels good. Utilizing your talents in a way that is what we're all meant to do, which is to connect. When we utilize our talents, it's meant to connect us with others, not isolate us. So it really is about looking at where you've isolated yourself through the use of your talents and how now you can change that. Not to turn your back on your strong work ethic, but to change how you use that strong work ethic to now achieve connection instead of disconnection. Okay, well, a card came right out there. So for your final message here for contemplation, and in contemplation, we're really stepping into that place of where we're looking to integrate lessons. We're looking at contemplating in our life. We're looking at seeing the consequences of our actions and really being able to learn from that so that we can continue to engage with, especially here in this love connection reading, engage with the energy of love in a healthy way, engage with others in a healthy way. And you have clean it up. And I think that's kind of exactly what you need to do, Capricorn. There's an element here of you've kind of been disconnected. Now it doesn't mean that like you have to come in and clean up everybody else's mess. It means you have to clean yourself up. You have to take responsibility for kind of the mess you've made in cutting yourself off from connection with others. So let's say you go back to my example of the painter who's just was so focused on doing 12 paintings a day to where he could get a stockpile of X amount of paintings by a certain amount of time. And maybe in focusing on that, he put himself into debt, or he or she, whoever, that the artist put themselves into debt. And now they have all this debt to pay off. They don't know what to do or how to communicate that. They have this pile of beautiful work that needs to be shared with the world, but now they're just in this mess. Okay, I achieved my goal of making my 150 paintings, but now my life is a shambles and I'm so stressed. I'm not emotionally connecting to this. This is now turned into a prison where I once was happy to be in my studio and working. It's just this awful prison and I don't know what to do. And I've pushed away friends and family because I haven't been talking to them. And I mean, this could be like where you actually picked up and moved away from people and they physically can't get to you. And they physically don't know what you're doing. And this is where now it's time to contemplate, okay, bring that energy back to your center of courage to help disengage you from the chains that you've created around yourself to tie you to the devil. And contemplate on where you can start to take action to clean it up. Maybe this is now reaching out to friends and family to say, hey, I've been working so hard. I did all of this, but now I'm so far into debt and I don't know what to do. I can't even buy a plane ticket home. And just start there. Or to admit to yourself, whoa, I got so out of balance here. What am I going to do with all these paintings? I didn't even think about that. Am I going to sell them? Am I going to have an exhibition? Am I going to go on social media and start posting about all these paintings I have? Like, what's the goal now with this? How can you turn this negative, like I have a stockpile and I'm paralyzed by debt and there's nobody around me to help? How can you start to break that down and clean it up? Because there's always people in our life that we're meant to connect with. And this can look like even you just connecting with somebody in the art world, maybe through social media, to say, hey, I have these, are they any good? And what can I do with them? Like, how can I actually put these out there? And they might say, hey, set up an Etsy shop. Or hey, set up an Instagram and start posting them and start sharing your experience. Build a website. And as you start to connect and start to realize, okay, oh, it's not that bad. I'm not that mountain goat at the very tippy top. I don't have to be afraid. I can start to come back down. Same thing with, let's say this was about the person who wanted to work so many hours to support their family, but it actually ended up isolating them. Well, now you can stop and say, okay, kind of made a mess. My children aren't connecting with me. Maybe my significant other is not connecting with me. It's causing stress and strain. In addition to that, I've created a level of expectation in my work environment that I will work these long hours. I will do all of this. I've maybe even committed to, another project or moving into a higher level of responsibility, and I can't do that. So now it's on you to start to clean that up one step at a time. And the first step is going to your family and saying, I'm sorry. I've been so disconnected. I'm sorry that I put this element first, but I thought this was in the best interest of our family. I'm going to change some things, and I hope that you're on board with me. And I hope that you'll support me as much as I want to support you, but I am going to reduce some hours at work. I might actually look for another job. We might have to save a little bit more and cut out some of our spending on this side. But I so look forward to being able to spend more time with you guys. And that's going to start to alleviate this fear and this pressure. And a lot of times the fear and the pressure is not from other people. It's from us. It's internally. The devil is the energy of, not that the devil comes in and ties us to something, it's that we tie ourselves to something. Whether it's a codependent relationship, or whether it's a poor relationship with work, or a poor relationship with one of our unique ability. But there's some aspect here where you have taken a gift of yours, and not that you used it for bad. It's that you just lost awareness of how best to use it and how best it is meant to be of service to the world. And so this reading is really focusing on getting yourself back into a place of falling in love with that gift again, but also realizing how it's meant to connect you with others, not be the source of disconnect. That your strong work ethic shouldn't be that point where you are having so much anxiety that you can't connect in a loving and supportive way with your partner or your children. Or that your strong artistic ability is what's keeping you holed up and totally isolated from everybody that you know and from sharing your work. All right, Capricorn, I'm going to leave it there. You know what? Actually, I'm just going to get one more card of advice. I feel like you guys are really just a little bit of struggling with a little bit of disconnection and isolation, and that you guys just need a big hug. You're isolated from the energy of love. And I feel like, okay, that is way too many cards. I feel like Spirit wants to give you a lot of advice, but I unfortunately don't have the time to give that message. Spirit, let's break it down to 1 to 2 cards max. What's some additional advice for my Capricorns who feel really isolated from love right now? Any additional advice? Aside from that giant chunk that wanted to come out? Let's see. Any additional advice for Capricorn? Financial constraints. I kind of got this feeling with Clean It Up. Capricorn, I think you guys are really holding yourselves back and chained because of this fear of financial constraints, this fear of you have to be the provider, this pressure and burden you're kind of chaining yourself to, that I have to be the one to keep fulfilling this empty coffer, so to speak. I don't know if you guys can see that. Now, the number on this card is number 13, which actually reduces to the number 4, but the number 13 actually ties directly to the Death card in the tarot, which is a card of Scorpio as well, but it's a card of transformation. It's a card of having to basically understanding you have to let something die for that energy to be reformed into something new. And there is this quality here of kind of a scarcity mindset. But what I love about this is that you only see one side of the door open. So you can look at this as an empty cabinet with nothing in it. Or you could tap into the best versions of curiosity and say, well, if I open this, what's behind here? Is this where all the magic and the jewels and the riches are? And I think that this is kind of shows your thinking, that there's this quality of kind of a scarcity mindset of, but I have to keep doing this because I've tied myself to it now, and it's all a mess. It's all a big mess. And instead of just realizing, no, it's within your power to clean it up a little bit at a time. You know, when we think about the movie Frozen and Elsa, and she went and built this crazy ice palace, well, she could also start to tear it down. And even though it was dangerous for people, she could realize that and say, oh, you know what, let me just bring it down. I'll make a little ice palace. Maybe it'll be cool and you guys can wear your little jackets and go inside and tour it. I don't have to make this giant ice palace that people are freezing to death in, or icicles are falling on their head or whatever. And I can start to work with my ability in a structured and stable way, but not in the way that I just did right now that isolated me from others. And there's this quality here for you guys to really tap into that, to release your tie to these financial constraints, release your tie to feeling like you have to somehow embody this or keep, that you're tied to a lack of something in your physical world, and that's what's keeping you having to keep isolating yourself. Now, there is this quality here about just release. I really feel that this is getting in the way of you connecting authentically with others. Don't tie yourself to this. We are more than the money we make. We are more than the tangible. We need to connect with Source Spirit. We need to emotionally connect to things in our life. And that doesn't come through money and things. It comes through emotional connection. It comes through intuition and knowing what feels good for ourselves and what we're meant to do. So there is this quality of this is the block between you and love. It's something around financial abundance. And if that means having to start to break down that viewpoint of you having to be the breadwinner, or you feeling that you have to make X amount of money to be of value, this is where you have to unchain yourself from that and realize, no, it's just about sharing your talents in a way that connects you with others. That's actually how you with ease break the block of a scarcity mindset, is you simply just be yourself. And the money will come, but the love will come first. All right, Capricorn. I hope this has been an illuminating message. I know it's a little bit of a Debbie Downer, but I feel like I'm hoping you guys get a chance to see something in your life in a new, fresh perspective, that you get a chance to see something that perhaps has kind of gotten out of control, a gift of yours that has now taken you so far away from those that you love that you can see you can always come back. You're never too far away to come back. It's just that sometimes we go so far away that others can't reach us. It's not that they don't want to, it's that they can't. And so it's within our power We can't control them. And we can't control them, and we can't control the mountain. But we can control ourselves choosing to make the journey back down. And that's self-empowerment. And that person is still going to be waiting to connect with you at love at the bottom. All right, Capricorn. I hope you get a chance to watch your other messages for the month of August coming up. If you'd like to book a one-on-one tarot reading or a spiritual coaching session with me, the link to my website is in the description box below. And I hope you all have a fantastic rest of the day. Bye, Capricorn.